This week in comic books, we get Riddler Year 1 came out, and you'd think I would like it as a fan of the Riddler, but I don't know. I'm going to tell you why I'm kind of not really digging this story. Over in the lands of Marvel, we get Werewolf by Night, and the whole Werewolf by Night and Moon Knight and Khonshu and Moons makes sense, but I felt it was a rushed story. I'll tell you why. And in the land of independence, I got a gift from a Kickstarter campaign that I supported, and it's called Red Knight, and it's really cool. I can't wait to talk to you about it. But first, let's talk about the coffee you're drinking.
Cheers. How you doing today? Hmm. Coffee brand coffee. Very good. Must say. Go get yourself some.
Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos? It's another week, which means another stack of comic books to talk about. So let's jump into this immediately with DC. The first thing I was able to pick up, and I was super excited to get it. I was actually waiting for this comic book.
Okay, all right.
Of course, Sergeant Rock and the Army of the Damned. This is good because this gives us a little bit of not really understanding. I almost want to call it an in-between issue, right? So Easy Company, Sergeant Rock and the Easy Company are going to go find wherever they're making these zombies, right? The German guys from that time, they're making zombies. So they're going to go and they're going to go destroy the zombie factory, if you will. Kind of run into a little kerfuffle, if you will, choosing targets to eliminate and choosing targets not to eliminate. One of them being a truck with some zombies in the back of it, and then of course them spying on the zombie factory, and of course the zombies attacking them there. Loads of action in here, really good. Really like the way this works. One small nitpicky thing though. There's a scene in here where a guy's using binoculars and they're looking over the camp and seeing everything that's going on in there and the people that show up, one of them being Adolf's doctor. So now we got a hot target. And the zombies come rushing into the building and they're setting off explosives and shooting them. One rule we always learned in the military is if you can see something with binoculars, generally means that they can hear you shoot a gun. So it's like, right?
Whoa. Thank you so much. I gotta get you a gift or something.
I know that's such a minor thing, but it was just something we were always taught in the military. When I read it, I was like, ugh. Well, for the most part, I really enjoyed this. It's graphic. It's got your zombies exploding, and we also find out that the zombies aren't mindless in this. That there is some mental capacity there because they're literally drinking in a bar, shooting each other, realizing they can't die. They're communicating to some basic level, so they're not like what you would see in The Walking Dead, just going around trying to eat brains.
If you're dying, suddenly everybody loves you.
So yeah, I like this. Plus, I like that cover. That is a cool cover. So yeah, digging this book. I enjoy it. Can't wait to read some more of that. All right, so jumping into Riddler Year 1. So this is kind of the Riddler from the Batman Begins movie, Year 1 movie. It's that Riddler. I say that to distinguish them because this Riddler is kind of started, I think the kids are calling him an incel, I think is what you would call it, right? Kind of the loner guy. He's kind of nerdy. He's depressed, obviously, because he knows he doesn't fit in to the regular group around him. So therefore, he gets used by, his bosses to make the boss look good. Just the worst kind of scenario and situation a person can be in. Apparently, he works at an accounting firm. He finds something kind of hinky going on with the books at a particular dog rescue where hundreds of dollars are being kind of filtered out of the company, kind of like laundering money, washing the money through there, and the sums generally end up to about $10,000, which in most cases, right, the IRS doesn't really bother with anything under 10,000. You got to neither do banks unless there's some reason to. There's a special, there's a thing that they can do. So I wouldn't use this as a guide to laundering money. But I get where they're going with this, and I would like this, but it's just, what do people say? It's not my Riddler? That sounds so tropey. I don't really like that. I don't really like the origin story of this particular one. I want my villains to be villainous. I don't want them to be self-righteous in their actions, right? Because that's not villainy, right? That's just standing up for yourself. In some cases, I would guess, yes, he'll probably go to the extreme. I understand that argument. But, yeah, I'm depressed, so
Darwin says let him die.
I'm going to do things. But it's still a good read. Don't get me wrong. You could have called the character anybody else and rolled through it and would have been just as good a story. So, not to get hung up on it, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. And we also find out his fascination with Batman and why he's fascinated with Batman in this, and would think that he's like, should be friends with Batman versus being an adversary to Batman. So that was pretty good. I'll give it that. Next, Action Comics. This is a great example that even the best moral decisions will always have some sort of repercussion in it. In this one, Superman's finally back from War World, where he freed the Philologians, I believe is how we're calling the ancient Kryptonian race. I'm not sure. I should have really looked that up for the video. Anyway, the two kids that were part of that story are here on Earth, and of course the alien out-of-world thing, they take them to a zoo, and these kids really aren't figuring this stuff out. And we got Bibbo. He's there. He's trying to, if you don't know, but he's been a character in Action Comics and in Superman comics forever. He's kind of like buddy-buddy with Superman. He kind of plays and works with the kids. But then the new gods show up, and they're like, yeah, you messed up, because there's this particular fire of ancient woo-woo technology that's now embedded in the small boy. And they're like, the boy needs to come live with us. We're the new gods. He's technically us. So he's got to come with us. And Superman's like, nah, I don't think so, Slim, right? But all this is based from, Superman doing the right thing on War World, freeing the people there, and it having an effect, a negative effect amongst other people. I think this is a great, it kind of shines a light, right? What's the best disinfectant? Light. Just because you think something is right doesn't mean that you automatically understand the after effects of such thing, especially when it comes to moral decisions on societies and things like that. I thought it was a good commentary of that. Now, right, wrong, and different, I don't really see the difference in this book.
We could spend all day arguing right or wrong. Give me the $100. We didn't bet. We could spend all day arguing whether we bet or not. Give me the $100.
Because we're going to get some really cool action where the new gods are kind of redefining themselves in this book, and I think that's going to be interesting. So I'll probably be chasing down this storyline as this arc begins. So this would be the first issue of this arc. Next, Strange Academy. This one kind of confused me. So Little Zombie Queen Girl right now, over in another comic book run, is with Agatha, and there's a big evil coming. They're taking care of it, but she's yet again in this book, because this is kind of recapping what has happened so far up to this point, and what's going on with the kids and the school being separated the way that it is, right? Emily is basically turning into a dictator, and she's kind of got a fringe group of kids over there that now they're starting to think maybe this wasn't the best choice, right? And then you got the kids at the academy who are learning the worst lesson of all time from Scarlet Witch. They do this whole thing where making perception reality, and I think that's a horrible thing to teach young people, because that's where false narratives come from.
I'm a man of principle. I don't care how much time and money it costs you to defend.
Little 2022 there, if you ask me. But regardless, it moves forward. This wasn't as entertaining as the other issues have been to me. That really kind of stuck with me in that one. I'm like, that's not a good thing, right? Just, people believe in weird stuff. Doesn't mean that it's true. I'm talking to you, flat earthers, directly to you. So, regardless, we got a fractured academy here, two different sides. Will they go to war with each other? Will the kids just be like, nah, this ain't worth it? I am interested in the drama in the story. So, for that part, I'll keep reading it. Definitely. Plus, the catch-up kind of helped, too, because we kind of found out what happened with Calvin, who left the school, or was kicked out of the school because he's not magical anymore, and working with Gaslighter? I'm going to go with Gaslamp. Basically a drug dealer of magic, and the repercussions of what it's like to be dealing in the streets.
Oh, almost forgot. I need to give a 16-year-old magic mushrooms to treat a cluster headache. Is that cool?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. All right. Next, moving into Marvel, more Marvel, we got Moon Knight. This is a number 1. This is him and Werewolf of Night. I thought this story was way too clumped together. This should have been 5-6 issues spread out. You know, you kind of lay out everything. Basically, you got prophecy, 2 fractions of the prophecy, a god that can be killed, and of course a child has to get thrown in there, because it can kill the god at some point.
That and the Loch Ness Monster, global warming, evolution, other fictional concepts.
I liked the aspect of the story and how it was set up. I just thought that the conclusion came way too quick because the stars have to align. It's a prophecy, right? That means you get a certain period of time to transform this kid into a werewolf who's Moon Knight's daughter, right? That's how this works. Even though the Fist of Khonshu's are not allowed to have children. See, this is so complicated to review because so many little nuancy things are in it, and then it all gets clumped together, and then at the end the girl's like, well, the stars aren't aligned anymore. You fought, you know, Werewolf by Night, Moon Knight, and Moon Hunter, and we delayed the tactic or the thing we needed to do, so now the stars aren't aligned, so everybody's good, let's go get ice cream. They actually mentioned ice cream in here. And I was like, oh, that's a rush ending. I didn't... You could have done so much with that, like explain this kind of connection with the werewolves and Khonshu and the full moon, instead of just, you know, the werewolves were basically the ravaged berserker army for Khonshu. It was like a line, and I was just like, I would like to have seen, you know, some flashbacks of that, how that started. Like, I want to go down that rabbit hole. That seemed kind of interesting. No, it was a passive line in it, and I was just like, oh, so this missed for me, unfortunately. Because the ending was just too convenient. Like, nobody did anything. You just had to wait.
Smugness is easier to maintain.
Alright, moving into my independence this week. We got Creepshow number 2 come out. Basic Creepshow type of story here. 2 short stories. One about a little girl who basically is possessed by a tree. I think. It was kind of a vague story, honestly. It was kind of... And then another one about, which a lot of you comic book fans out there were like, a creator of a comic book / cartoon, and how his creations kind of helped him from being robbed by the person that's supposed to caretake for him. And of course, as every creep show, there is no good ending. It's just, this happened. Sorry about your luck. It was pretty good.
Why would he volunteer that information?
Next, Stuff of Monsters. So our Frankenstein brothers burned down their previous lab, and they're heading out to where everybody would run away to if they're on the lam. The Outer Banks, North Carolina. Anyway, they set up shop there again, but while they were burning down their previous lab, the monsters that they were creating got out. It's creepy. Also, for some random reason, the abandoned mansion that they went to in the Outer Banks has an old caretaker there that knew the 2 boys. Creepy, you know, ghoulish type of character. And I'm just like, okay. And of course, they need to immediately steal a body so they can keep their work of basically Frankensteining a bunch of corpses together.
Don't cheapen this.
I'm on board with this. Like, I know my review sounds like I'm not, but this just kind of seemed like a, let's get to the next phase of the story, get this over with. One of the brothers falls in love with their female assistant, who is currently dating the other brother, and yeah, nerd brother stabs him and kills him. So we know where the next zombie's coming from. Fresh bodies, right? That's the whole zombie thing. Frankenstein monster thing, I guess. Next, Vanish. So I'm really digging this. I know, like, people have been eating up the covers, kind of talking trash about it. This is a good story. Like, the art's good in it, inside. Very detailed art. You know everything's going on. It helps enhance the story that's being told through its dialogue. We find out that the kids back in the day actually saw 9/11 happen, right? And that's where it kind of solidified that these people, humans, are just horrible. They're just horrible things. I can kind of, I have that sentiment sometimes. But anyway, so And we get a little bit more story about why they're superheroes in this world instead of them just existing through their own random origin story. They're all actually wizards and magical beings from this other place, this magical other place that were exiled here on Earth. So they have superheroes and stuff like that in this world. I liked that. That is a great one-liner explanation, and you can always go back to a flashback to this particular thing that happened called the Golden War. That made sense to me. But we also find out how heavily involved Oliver, our hero, is in this, and still maintaining a greedy type of boys type of attitude to the story as well.
Can I get bonus points if I act like I care?
All right, last but not least, I supported a Kickstarter campaign with a local guy here in our local area.
It was either that or get my hair highlighted.
Look, we got a book by Justin Christilli. He had a Kickstarter campaign. I decided to support it, and I got this beautiful trade back kind of story. It's good. This is good stuff. I should say I'm biased. I like when comic books have my local area in it. Very homegrown like that. And a lot of this takes place in Norfolk, Virginia, or Norfolk, as we say here. Other people say Norfolk. It's weird. Basically, I don't want to relate it to a mainstream comic, but you kind of get the vibe there, right? Right? But the story writing in it, the dialogue, everything just lets you know that you're inside of a comic book and you're in a real area and all this stuff is happening. And I think that's beautifully written. The artwork in it is, you can tell that this is a trade paperback over a period of time because it does kind of shift a little bit from a standard comic book form to a more realistic form as it goes through. So I enjoyed that. You could see the growth of the actual comic book growth in this. This was good. And apparently I won on the Kickstarter, the random drawing. I got my Red Knight action figure now. Pew pew, with his little pew pew there. Pew pew, pew pew. So that was kind of cool. I'm kind of happy I won that, in Red Knight. So all in all, it's a good book. If I find a link, I'll be happy to put it in the description below if Red Knight is something that you want to check out. I definitely recommend it for your classical comic book type reader out there. I think you would enjoy it. So that's it. That is my haul of the week. My pick of the week, of course, would be Vanish for the independents this week. I'm really enjoying this read. So as you're watching this right now, I am on the road and I am on my way to Baltimore Comic Con. I hope to see you there. Definitely if you see me bopping around, say hi. I'd love to meet you. Probably going to enjoy some of the nightlife too, not going to lie. May even hit up the casino. I don't know yet. I'm feeling lucky. Don't forget to check out Coffee Brand Coffee. Link in the description below. Make sure you use promo code POCANJO and save yourself 10%. Suckers pay full price. And, of course, I got my merch store down there with some Simply Villainous merch that you can check out as well. All right, guys, I got nothing else. I'll see you on the next go-around. Bye.